Holy crap. I just want to take a break real quick, Stoker. My nose is starting to bleed and I think I'm fucked up a little bit.
Like using
Hang in there,
excessive
Skipper.
use of capital letters, unnecessary quotation marks.
Okay, so I want you to understand at the speed in which they're running while trying to take notes on this. Well, what are we really doing? It's good that the YouTube pulls out like that. I'm glad Jim can do, and I got Tucker lined up next for Biden coming in. The Democratic Party from Fox News source plays it through on the active timestamp for the night, and Tucker pulling in on his post for the minutes coming in. A different way to write a book, right? Just slam down this thing. I'm already 3 pages into it, but just hammering it down like Cliff Notes, one-liners across the set in terms of what this one turns into. Again, just let me read it through real quick here because this is the eval type that I wanted to do. I'm breaking down the psychology using 623-3. Sorry if I was using 683-3. But given the speed in which this bad puppy's coming at you in terms of when you would be me in the military saying like, okay, so first eval, this is kids coming in brick and jar conjecture, it works great, and I know you know the material, Stoker, you're going to be real good, but you're coming in way too hot for what this video report does. There's a binary bit. It's like talk about the term, take a second so that there would actually have a kid or something track your speed line, like watch a video, go, whoa, that's real fast. See if you can adjust that model in such a way that they could get more of the terminology of the topological that then they can go research for themselves, adjust it into bang. We got, Walter's World, the White House cannot continue like this. The big man is the topological number. Hunter Biden's dealings, track the money, 10 checks at 20,000 or $2,000, discussions of the bills, joint bank accounts, Hunter's daughter's wedding was a number he put up, corruption king, and I cut it off from there. I kind of jumped in the middle of it where I started to do the headline, figured I had to do the headlining first and actually do it from the YouTube base, right? Because these are all going to be YouTube bases. Then you get data redacted. CNBC TV 2 minute drills on on IBM, NVDA, and C Crowd Strike there, which is IBM, NVIDIA, and CrowdStrike is a three-dot metric system, and they're going to come in IBM. Turnaround story. They're built new hybrid cloud space. Not crazy evaluation on the money for what it does, how long or fast while you'll get, which seems about right for what that's doing with the name. How often, if you continue this from here, you would eventually see for how much I've been hitting on it, the eval, some vector position, right? Now, I already know that's generally true. The tracking of that function would come in this form, and you would have to use that count to be speaking the same doctrine about pay when you're sliding all through that, being a mess about some kid's gonna see this, or potentially Stoker misevaluating the view metrics on this for the market of what kids really talking about, the dream of being the E0 to E1 to E6 or E7, and so there's a lot of the dream that individually you learn along the way to how fast this thing is hammering down again.
Marks, repeated words, right? We want to be brief, bold, and to the point when it comes.
And again, from here, not having a doctrine to actually see when you go to the rate chain right through this basic interview, we're already halfway through it without having the Perkins models of we're going to take a moment to actually look at the photoelectric effect of the AR609, what is 50-1, in terms of its obstacle course of common soldiers of that path when they look at it through this evaluation at that close to phase red, yellow, red, white, and blue over years or over crops, over cycles, that play that model in terms of why there's an adjustment of anything at all. AR0, AR1, sheath paper out to 36 at the SCP, right? 36 bases on that chessboard there. So again, that goes through, and that's coming at you at the same speed. Your 2 minute drill. That's the speed of, oh, I picked up a little fire trick again, in terms of, yeah, and when you get used to, that might be out in the middle of a patrol, and all you really have, because the camera didn't come out or you didn't hit that system to what that breakdown will be to data compressed, data redacted. Where we go? 2-minute drill. So IBM turnaround story, NVIDIA, everything's a verse, the verse inside here, but they got a good training course to it, so it works the same way. Boot camp, nation, business, but they're tracking their logistics that covers the training on it. So they got 2/3 on it. Before we start talking about Jim's version of this over here, we got, okay, good. Jim Gill's version of this, the 3 LNG plays worthy of investment. But if you watched it to the YouTube base of what they're doing, again, that's something I might talk about. The admin, look for a nickel there. It just is odd the way it comes in. It's in any play, any field, grow it like that, and that's an LPN, stoichiometric ratio, in the background of just oxygen molecule turning into other things. Drill sergeant fire breath, right? And anyways, he's gonna hit you with the Chevrony or whatever it is there, a 14-year play, and then he's gonna hit you up down up down. You heard it a million times, seen it a million times. 16 billion on it right now for a lot of that southern states for pumping out natural gas around instead of shipping it, or doing the cryo systems of, you can say cryo words, they freak people out, but actually when you understand the mechanics of it, it's just cow farts into a distillation system where the pressure in physics changing fields of pipes that actually get the capacities, or however you want to break down the diagram, to do that 14 years. Or when we get over here to Stoker, AR, YouTube, Bill Stoker, timelines and everything, when I found it, today's date, and when I found it, one pass drill to my note that I'm putting into it the way I like it. Heading AR 623-3, evaluations, reporting systems, NCOers, topics, 15 minutes to 16 minutes and 35 seconds. That was the first thing I caught off of it. Writing forms, right into it. I got other books that I can show you that I'm pretty sure I know what I'm talking about with the information. 180 pages to 100 pages for how big this document actually is while you're discussing it. If it comes up for evaluations, we're looking for a 500-page business, 400-page business report from Mike Rowe. That's a parallel, some way I can give you a better math equation of what it looks like. Answers, but no sets. Not like the SAW Jaguar program I do for the NP-PT test. It'll give you the problem, it'll give you the solutions, but not when to come up and do that, or how to go through the operation of knowing that's the area of doing that, because you kind of one passed it like this. And you'll see an evaluation that actually happens. You were just walking out in the woods. Some bug finder found a rare species mold that deteriorates oil or something crazy out there. Just paying attention to something that's at the macro. Talks about these chapter models it has. The arguments with the AHC, if I even got the letters right at the speed in which it was going. Mandatory and optional programs. And meanwhile, this is going to be smooth while he's talking about this. School system bases, HQ base equations. Like, we got to form a base from his level. He's talking about first sergeant evals with people that are crew, business. They sent me out into an area to form the military doctrine base over there of figuring out dot metrics of how long does it take to fight, cycle a recruit, or somebody, whatever artillery rounds you got or whatever tank program you have. From those dot metrics is based on the lot of how it would all play out for most likely the spin direction that Stoker was probably looking at from what I've gauged. And again, that's an evaluation. That's some Sharp City stuff on AR 609, AR 620. Not that I know it yet, but I know I'm going to need to check that out now. The evaluation of me hitting that next, timelines, could be a rabbit track that's important to understand for, and then the mapping of the time on the time. So basically what you're doing is this, right? And if you watch me do it, how much could you have noted right there? But loosely remember, kind of buried in. there's difference. Try to get what you can out of it, and then we can come back through this, and I might finish off another subject or another way to tackle that form that I wasn't necessarily considering before, given the evaluations having its own Q1, Q2 oxymoron base of figuring out what that equation is inverted to the geometry, what is the base that's not there, and timelines of topologies that might have to be foundationed.
Comes to our bullets, we can't talk about things like unproven derogatory information, whether it's reference to an incomplete, whether it's formal or informal investigation. Should only be talking about actions or investigations that have been processed and completed prior to that through date on that NCOER. And this is where a lot of mistakes happen, and this is where NCOERs may get kicked back from HRC for having prohibited comments on the NCOER. And of course, we can't do things like talking about race, color, religion, ethnicity, family members, none of that stuff. We can't talk about NJP if it's filed in a restricted portion of individual's record.
I forget what the word is here.
And we shouldn't be talking about protected communication, like if somebody talks to IG, Sharp, Chaplin, those things are protected dialogues and communication, so they should not find their way onto that NCOER. Extended period may cover an extended period of time, and so here's a little table that you can use as reference. And
so I'm not going to continue with that because I've done this a million times before.
You need to have 12 months of rated time
5 sigma
from that
down
through
to
date, from the from date to the through date,
usually the one I'm
that
use
rated
anyways,
NCO for an
I'm a little
annual.
better with it. Well,
in this case, would be an extended annual to be covered.
It's
so
probably
maybe
gonna sound
PCS
real familiar.
and you take 30 days leave.
If we're both
so that 30 days leave, it's non-rated time, and that's not a big deal.
Diagrams,
but let's say you left on January 1st and